The UFO report by the Department of Defense is due out this month. Are they going to talk about aliens? Are they going to talk about contact with ETs? What does this mean for you? Stay tuned to this episode where I go over all of this in detail. Welcome back to the Derek Loudermilk Show. This is a special report this month, June 1st. Right now, as I record this, it's June 2nd. The Pentagon is supposed to do its UFO Disclosure Report. This was sneaked into one of the stimulus packages, the CARES Act. 6 months ago, it said you have 6 months to disclose everything you know about UFOs. And some of this stuff, some video footage and photos have already started coming out in the mainstream media. But we're not getting very much. We're just getting a lot of speculation. Oh, what are these crafts? Could they be other countries? Could they be aliens? What are they? So I haven't heard the connection between actual aliens, ETs, and UFOs. Right now, the talk is just a lot about the aerial phenomenon themselves. But I put everything that I have learned into a Facebook post last week, and it got widely shared. So I want to go over some of those points that I made in that post so that you can be prepared for this disclosure moment. So, as you may know, crashes at Roswell, New Mexico happened in the 40s, right? So we're talking 70, 80 years of UFO studies, UFO researchers, and there's tons of documented evidence that's already out there. So if you have been waiting for the US government to tell you what's up and you've already missed hundreds and thousands of other firsthand accounts of the UFO and alien phenomenon, then you've been focused on just one person telling you what's going on. But I've listened to and watched and read books from, let's say, more than 300 eyewitness accounts. These are people that worked at Area 51. These are people that did crashed UFO retrievals all around the world. These are people that did alien autopsies and alien gene sequencing. These are CIA operatives. These are abductees. These are people that channel ETs. These are scientific researchers that work for the government or private labs. So what I'm trying to do here today is to tell you the themes, to give you what's coming up across the decades, right from the 40s and 50s all the way to the last 15, 20 years. What are the consistencies that we're hearing from the UFO community over the last 70 years and across the countries? Things that are always consistent that you can probably, hang your hat on and say, this is probably fact. All right, number one, the big one, yes, UFOs are real, they're common, and governments and organizations on planet Earth have worked with 60 or more different extraterrestrial species over the last 75 years. Lots and lots of alien encounters and activity, well documented. These ETs are often human-like. They look like they have arms, they have legs, and a head. The five-pointed star pattern, which is apparently very common across the universe, and they are often genetically related to Earth humans to a more or lesser degree. Essentially, they're our galactic brothers and sisters. And the real positive thing is that almost across the board, 99% or some large percent of these extraterrestrials are benevolent, and they want the absolute best possible outcome for us. And when people like abductees, that people say, I was up on an alien spaceship, even if they were scared during the process, right? Even if it was something totally new and foreign to them to go on board an alien spaceship, they always report feeling this peace and serenity and love, unconditional love, coming from these extraterrestrial beings. I've learned and participated in close encounter projects. So it's possible, and there are different groups that have developed ways of contacting ETs, but it is totally possible and a repeatable practice to basically call in an ET contact. And most of this contact is going to be done through telepathy, although last summer there was an event called the Harmonic Convergence that I participated in, which over 100,000 people around the globe called in physical ships that they were able to photograph and video in the sky during the actual event. So if you haven't seen some of the footage on social media, you can find it on Instagram, probably on TikTok. There is lots and lots of great video footage of people encountering ETs above their homes, above the roads, in the outback, wherever. So if you're wondering, why haven't I seen more footage? There is actually a ton of footage out there. So it's now that we have phones, everybody has phones with cameras, you can count on really good UFO footage for you to go and check out for yourself. All right, another common theme is that we're being told by these beings that the universe is conscious, and consciousness is what underpins physics and reality. And it's much simpler. Our physics is going to be much simpler than all the, many different fields and trying to unify the physics and all the hard problems that we're solving now in the dark energy and the dark matter. That will all be explained in very simple terms when we understand things through consciousness and fields and electromagnetism, which means that technology like anti-gravity and jump gates and portals and free energy and time travel all are reported to be very common among these different extraterrestrial races because of their physics. Also, telepathy is the universal means of communication. So anywhere you go, any of these beings that have advanced to a point of consciousness enough where they can use telepathy, you will be able to communicate them whether you know telepathy or not, because they can communicate with you. So that's super exciting. All right, another major point when you're thinking about the conscious universe. So the universe as a whole is, also equivalent to God, like a single large source field of consciousness, but is broken down into fractals, smaller pieces of consciousness, of which you are a fractal of the greater whole. But there's essentially different densities and harmonics of consciousness. And I've heard from many sources that Earth humans often fall at the 3.12 to 4.1 density of consciousness. And as it happens right now, the whole solar system, Earth and all the other planets and the sun and everything else in our solar system is undergoing a consciousness upgrade. It's an event commonly referred to as ascension, and it's what's moving us from third density into fourth density. It's also, people refer to it as moving from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. So on Earth, it does seem to be playing out like a battle between good and evil. And what we're talking about, good and evil here, is positive polarized people and negative polarized people or beings or entities or whatever. Because if we're talking about ETs, right, we have to encompass more than people. And so, while there are negative agendas and there are positive agendas and they're competing and there's this polarity and it's all playing out, we've been assured from multiple sources that we are on the optimal timeline for the continued sort of raising of the vibration, the increase in consciousness for Earth humans. And so the reason that all these ETs are so interested in Earth, Earth, because why are they here? Why are they in the skies? Why are they abducting people? Why are they communicating to people in dreams? It seems like who really cares about Earth? But Earth apparently is very special. This is not only because we are related to all these other ETs genetically, the brothers and sisters and thing, but because Earth itself is a garden planet. It is a haven for life. And you might have noticed, if you've ever been to a forest, that there is so much diversity here on planet Earth. And it's really true. There's not that many planets in the universe that are as capable of hosting diverse life as planet Earth, because it's such a special planet. It's a water planet, but it also happens to be a library planet. And stored inside the water on our planet and the crust and the crystals on our planet is information which basically, as I'm told, stores the entire history of our galaxy within it. So it's not just a library planet, it's also a garden planet. So it's a very important place for a positive outcome to happen here. So people, when I say people, I mean aliens, have some stake in the continued positive progression for humanity, which is great news for us. So the details of this ascension process are that to participate in the ascension, to elevate your density of consciousness, all you need to do is be 51% or more service to others. And essentially then the negative polarity would be the service to self type of person. And you might be thinking, well, how do I know if I'm 51% service to others? What is that like? Basically, it means just be a good person. It means you're focusing on supporting the greater good rather than being selfish. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. All the ancient religions and texts have tried to tell us the same thing because they were greatly influenced by the same races of ETs that we're in touch with now. If these races of ETs are millions of years old, right? They've been coming to Earth 2,000 years ago and 20,000 years ago, and we're getting the same info now, which is why the ancient texts like the Mahabharata and the Bible and the Quran are all saying the same things that we're hearing from ET contacts right now. And, in the Bible, in the Mahabharata, the angels, the giants, the blue-skinned gods, those are just different races, right? What they're describing, these beings being able to do, ascending in a halo of light, this is actual physical descriptions of these beings. I've also heard from many sources that Jesus was real. He was an expression of pure source consciousness, and probably was, even cooler and more powerful than the Bible fully can describe. So the important thing to remember here is that if the U.S. government starts disclosing what they've observed about UFOs, and it's negative, and they're trying to push a scenario, an agenda of fear, or we should be concerned, or there's going to be an alien invasion, or any of this stuff, that's probably not accurate. And there's probably some reason why they're trying to do that. Because, again, across all decades and all countries, we've heard pretty much only positive ET contact. And that's what you should be expecting to hear. And so you can compare what I've told you today, and please, go do your research. There's some great people like Dr. Stephen Greer has been working on this for several decades. Read his books, watch his documentaries, and that's a great starting point. And as far as the ascension goes, you may be experiencing a lot of symptoms. Ascension is happening, for 3D human bodies. Basically, the solar system is passing through this high energy field of radiation that I think came from the center of the galaxy, but every 62.5 million years we sort of pass through it, we oscillate up and down. And this has led to huge bursts in the diversity of life on Earth. It's led to sort of punctuated equilibrium in evolution. We see it in the fossil record. And so this is a time when actual biology is accelerating its evolution, which means your DNA is probably changing right now while you're living because of this high energy, and also the planets and the sun and all that. So we're getting different solar radiation, the magnetic sphere and the atmosphere of the Earth. All this stuff is changing. So if you're feeling headachy, nausea, fatigue, disoriented, confused, your thoughts are changing, you're aware of new things, all of these can be considered symptoms of us passing through this high energy field as part of this ascension process. So I want to also assure you that you're not dying, as another one of these channels, these UFO researchers says, you're not dying, you're just waking up. And that's part of the consciousness evolution. That's part of the ascension process. So what could this mean for society? Well, we've gotten apparently lots of technology that we've reverse engineered from these crafts. A lot of our different high-tech metals and information storage and some healthcare advances have come from looking at crash wreckage and sort of trying to figure out how it works. But if the Pentagon is going to disclose, a lot more of their research into this material, I see, material science advancing. I see medicine and healing science advancing a lot. Perhaps, building science as well. And transportation, right? If we're able to do anti-gravity, if we have free energy, then this will change the entire shape of Earth human civilization. So very exciting on the tech front. But one thing that I'm really excited about as an adventurer, as someone who's lived all over the world, is the exchange program. And I've heard from multiple sources that once we have an open society where we have open contact, right? We actually are fully open about that there are extraterrestrials and we're working with them and we're in community with them around the galaxy. There can be exchange programs where researchers, families, people from Earth go spend a few years on other planets to learn what they can about their civilization, about their technology, about their social structures, and bring back whatever we can. So high school exchange programs were really cool, but intergalactic, interplanetary exchange programs, just think of the possibility. And I can tell you for sure that I am going to be one of the first people to sign up for that. That's what I'm looking forward to the most, is the technology and what we can learn from these civilizations. And even if this UFO report only touches on 1% of what's fully out there in the space of people that have been studying UFOs, ufology, it's going to bring awareness to it, right? It's going to have other people starting to dig into this material. You're going to be listening to a podcast like this one, reading books, watching documentaries, and you're going to learn that there really is so much great material out there, well documented over the last decades, and you're going to be really surprised. You're going to be really excited about what this means for you, what this means for humanity, and where it's all going. All right. If this is new to you, would love to hear how it's landing. What do you make of all this? For somebody that's just now starting to think about this stuff, would love to hear your perspective. You can send me an email. You can find me at Derek Loudermilk on Instagram. I'd love to start a conversation on social media with where you're at. And part of the reason I wanted to share this episode is because I have a lot of friends that have started coming to me, asking me about aliens, ETs, and UFOs. And so it seems like the cultural zeitgeist is starting to go in that direction. People are finally becoming aware of UFOs. And I actually wasn't really thinking much about it a few years ago until I started having dreams every night about crop circles. And then looking and researching into crop circles led me to UFO research from there. If you have heard this stuff before, if you've dug into some of the material and you're well familiar, what did I get right? What did I get wrong? What did I leave out? Would love to also hear your comments about if you're seeing the same things in your own research. And if you like this type of content on this podcast, then leave a review or send me a message like, yes, please do more of this, because I can go deeper into any one of these facets of these bullet points that I've talked about today. So if you want more expanded content, if you want more information that's going to help you thrive during an ascension process, then either leave a review of the podcast or send me a note on social media or something like that, so I can give you more of what you're looking for. Okay, thanks so much for listening today. I hope you're as excited as I am. Your main takeaway is that ET contact is a good thing. And if you're hearing fear-mongering from somebody, from some organization or government, that's probably because of some agenda. It's not the full truth. It's not the full accuracy of what's going on. All right, now it's your turn to go out there and get curious.